Welcome to this Figma course. So let's move along. We are going to create this beautiful screen here. Yes. So the first thing I'm going to do here for this design is to create a mobile artboard. To do that, I just tap on the frame or press F on my keyboard. That's a shortcut to it. And then I see my options appear under the design tab, right? So under the design tab, I have a number of options. In this work, I'm going to be designing for a mobile phone. So I just select an option under the phone options. So here, I'm just going to select iPhone 13 Pro Max. Not because I have any specific reason, but because that's the easiest option to get to select actually. Okay, so I have selected my iPhone 11 Max. Yeah. So I've selected my iPhone 11 Max. What I'm going to do is I'm going to double tap on the frame and rename it. My first screen to design is the welcome screen. So I'm going to rename this screen to welcome. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a grid. So for me, grids guide me so that I don't move into a specific region. So I like to start out with a grid so that it guides and I don't move into the margins I set for myself. So yes, to do that, I click on the layout grid, the plus beside it, and then I tap on the square here and I'm presented with options, right? So I select columns from this layout and I set my margin to 30. Yes. So 30, that's all I need to do, my margin. Okay, I'm good to go. Wait. No. I have to reduce the opacity a bit, the color intensity a bit so that I can view my design and the grid won't be a distraction to it. Okay, so I have my grid set up now. The next thing I'm going to do is draw my register and login buttons, right? Okay. To do that, I have to select the rectangular tool and draw on my artboard. Okay, so I have it down. Let me move the height to 50 and I'm okay with the width. Then the next thing I'm going to do, as we can see here or look here, the button is rounded, right? The corners of the buttons are rounded. So I'm going to round them. So here under the design tab with the shape I just drew selected, I'll go to the corner radius and then change the value to 30. Wow. Now you see that my shape, the corners of my shape is rounded beautifully and perfectly. Yes. Okay, so yeah, the next thing I'm going to do for this design is to change the color, right? Assuming I don't know the color code, but I have my beautiful design here that I'm copying or remaking. I just, with that shape selected, I go to fill under the design tab. I click on the color thing here, and then I tap on the eyedropper tool, right? Then I move the eyedropper tool to the color I want to pick, and I just click on it. You can see that it changed the shape. It changed the color of the shape to the color I wanted to pick, right? Yeah. So I'm good with this for now. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to type the register text on my shape. So I'll go to the text tool or press T on my keyboard for shortcuts and then click on my shape and then start typing. So the first thing I remember is register. Yeah. So you realize that my text is a bit too small. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't like my font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to Montserrat, and then change my font from the font weight from light to medium, and then increase the font size. It's all done under the design tab in the text section. So I'll increase it to 18. Yeah, 18 looks good. 18 looks good. Okay. It's going well so far. It's going well so far. So okay, so I have this here. To move on, I have to group my button. So I select the text and the layer, and then I press Command J to group it. I go to the layer tab to rename it to register button. Now, it's not necessary for you to rename your elements, but it makes things easier for you as you move along. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so moving on uh after we've renamed that button, the next thing I'm going to do now is create a duplicate. To do that, I select the shape that I want to create a duplicate of and press Command D. It creates the duplicate for me, but you can't see the copy because the copy is still on the original. So what I'm going to do now is move the copy from the original to beneath the original, right? And I'll move it at a distance of 30. The distance between, yeah. So what I'm going to do now is just double click my text and then change the register to login. And then I make sure that I select the text and the rectangle and then center align it inside the rectangle. Okay, but I realize that when we look at this design, right, the color for this is different from this, right? This is lighter, and then the text is not white. It's actually the color of this. So I select my text. No, I think the first thing I should do is change the color of my rectangular shape. So I select that and I go to where the color code is, and beside it is the intensity value. So I'll change the value from 100 to 10. Oh, I think 10 is a bit too light. Let's see. 10 is a bit too light. 10 is too light. So let me move it a bit to 20, 35. Let's see. 30. Okay, I think 30 is good enough. So now my text button is this color. What I'm going to do is change the text. Hello. Yo, Matemeba. Okay, so the next thing I do is change the text color. I'm going to change it to the color of the button up there. So, yes, I select the color. So now I have my two buttons down, good and ready to go. Let me preview it and see how it looks. To do that, I select the frame and then click on the preview button. Yes. Okay, so due to my internet, it's taking some time to load. If you have a better internet connection, it'll probably load within seconds. Yeah, so it's loaded now. So this is how it looks on my phone. Okay, so back to my design. So back to the design, we realize that there are some cartoonish icons here. These things are illustrations, right? So to use illustrations, you have to download them or create them yourself. What I do is I download these illustrations and then use them in my work. There are so many illustration sites you can go to get illustrations. One of them is on Draw. Yes, as you can see here, one of them is on Draw. And then you can just Google illustration sites, and then you'll be given so many options you can use. The illustrations you see in the design here, I got them from Stock Vault. Yeah, Stock Vault, people. So here, there's a freebie illustration someone has designed and put on the internet. So Stock Vault. I'll share the link so that you can go and download them and use them in your work as you go along. Okay, so yes, this is Stock Vault, right? So you go to the site and then you scroll to where you find the download photography vector illustrations link. Then you tap on it and then it downloads the file for you. Since it downloads them as a zip file, right? And if you have an Illustrator software, if you have Illustrator, you open it in Illustrator. If you don't have it too, then I guess you just have to use a substitute icon for this course. You can get that from OnDraw. So OnDraw gives you illustrations in PNG and SVG form. So depending on what you want, you choose the format. But I always choose to go for SVG because in the SVG format, I can manipulate it or modify it to suit my interests or what I want. So that's it. So yeah, that's where for those who have Illustrator and can download it and open it in Adobe Illustrator. Elamina.